DreamWorks' Dogman movie exceeded many fans' expectations.
It was perfect.
But did you notice that several questions were left unanswered, perhaps to be explored in a possible Dogman 2?
Son?
One of the biggest questions is, who will Chief marry? In the movie, there are a few jokes hinting that he and Sarah Haddoff are quite the lovebirds. Right at the beginning, Chief accidentally confessed his feelings to Sarah without even realizing it, leaving her very confused. But don't think this crush is one-sided. Sarah seems pretty interested in Chief towards the end of the movie, especially after he arrested Flippy in the most stylish way possible. In other words, DreamWorks is clearly setting them up to become a couple, maybe even husband and wife. However, will this actually happen? After all, in the books, Chief does end up getting married, but not to Sarah. Instead, he ties the knot with none other than Nurse Lady, the doctor responsible for transforming Officer Knight and Greg the dog into Dogman. That's a pretty big difference between the animation and the original material, right? But since Chief and Sarah aren't officially dating yet, there's still a chance we might see him falling for Nurse Lady in the cinematic universe. In the end, we'll only know if DreamWorks will continue developing Chief and Sarah's romance, or if they'll make him marry Nurse Lady once Dogman 2 is released, because this drama is definitely going to be explored. But what do you think? Is Chief better suited to be the husband of the best nurse ever, or the greatest reporter in the world? If you're undecided, no worries. This is just the first of the 7 questions that need to be answered in Dogman 2. So get ready, this is Cinewave. Crud, Petey's father, was one of the biggest surprises in the movie. Since he only appears in the 7th book, few expected him to show up so soon in the first Dogman film, especially to adapt his debut scene from the books where he visits Petey and then robs everything from his house. An important detail is that in the book series, he becomes a major character after this appearance, returning as the main villain in the 2 books following his introduction. So logically, Crud should at least show up in Dogman 2 and have a bigger role. If DreamWorks stays faithful to the books, he might even be the sequel's main antagonist. But as we've already seen, DreamWorks isn't afraid to change up the story we know to innovate and create something a bit more unique. So the sequel might choose to adapt other stories instead of focusing more on Crud, whether as a villain or a side character. Then again, they may want to bring Petey's father back as soon as possible for another reason. In the latest Dogman books, Crud has been getting more and more attention. He and Big Jim are practically the protagonists of the most recent volume, Big Jim Begins, where Crud seems to be starting a redemption arc that could eventually turn him into a good guy. So it's totally possible that DreamWorks will make Petey's father a major character in the second movie. Maybe they'll even fast-track his redemption and make it happen in this film. Do you think the writers would dare to do that? In the first movie, Petey and Flippy were the main antagonists, though Petey, once considered the world's most evil cat, turned into a good guy and helped defeat Flippy in the end. Of course, the sequel will introduce a new villain to take center stage. The question is, who will it be? Dogman has an impressive lineup of villains, and future films will definitely explore them. One strong candidate is Crud, who we just talked about. Another major possibility, perhaps an even bigger one, is that the main villain of Dogman 2 will be Piggy, an evil and genius pig who was once Petey's childhood friend and now wants to take over the world alongside his gang of criminal animals, the Fleas. Seeing him in the next movie would be epic because he's one of Dogman's most dangerous enemies. Seriously, Piggy has even betrayed all his friends before. In fact, Dogman itself has already revealed that some major villains exist and are wreaking havoc in OK City, since wanted posters featuring some well-known faces from the books appear in the movie. One of them is Dr. Scum, a mad scientist who always creates crazy inventions to defeat Dogman. Another villain shown in the posters is Fair Fairy. She's like the fairy godmother, but way more evil. And maybe it's just a coincidence, but there's actually a book where she and Crud team up to commit crimes together. So if Petey's dad has a high chance of being the main antagonist in Dogman 2, the same could be true for Fair Fairy. Imagine if the second movie is about Crud and Fair Fairy joining forces to become the greatest threats in OK City. If you'd love to see these two villains teaming up in Dogman 2, drop a comment below, #villains.
I was mad.
At the end of Dogman, Flippy was defeated and surrendered. Of course, only after destroying a huge part of the city, just like any good supervillain would. And by good, we don't mean nice, because everyone knows villains don't usually donate to charity or help little old ladies across the street. What matters is that little Petey realized Flippy is only evil because nobody likes him, so he decided to be his first friend. Flippy seems willing to change from now on, but will he truly become a good guy in the sequel? That's something everyone wants to see, especially since it happens in the books. The cyborg fish gives up his life of crime and becomes friends with little Petey, even joining his comic-making club. But even after turning good, he still keeps that aggressive personality that makes him so funny. The problem is that Flippy was arrested at the end of the movie after committing a bunch of crimes, meaning he'll be locked up for quite a while. He might still be behind bars in the sequel and only get out in a possible Dogman 3. Dogman is more realistic than it seems. After all, even this world isn't free from shady politicians. The mayor of OK City is a prime example of this, as she only seems to care about her own reputation and apparently uses her position to benefit herself and her family members. In one scene, she even admits that her brother is the warden of Cat Jail, the same prison Petey kept escaping from. Did she put her incompetent brother in charge just because they're related? That's literally illegal in most places. So we're almost certain she's corrupt, but Dogman 2 could reveal that she's way worse than that. Maybe she's actually a full-on villain running criminal schemes behind the scenes. In the books, she's involved in shady deals and even helps Petey escape from prison just to make the chief look like a total failure, all part of a plan to replace him with a robotic police chief built by Dr. Scum, giving her complete control over the city's officers. The movie doesn't confirm whether she's a true villain, which raises the question, will the sequel take a different route, where the mayor is just kind of selfish but not actually evil? Then again, Petey somehow keeps escaping from a prison run by her brother, and she clearly doesn't like Chief. So maybe she's already been pulling strings to replace him, and Dogman 2 will finally reveal the truth. We all got to see Big Jim in 3D thanks to his appearance in the movie, but his screen time was pretty limited. After all, he's just Petey's goofy cellmate, for now. But will he stay a minor comic relief character in Dogman 2, or will he be promoted to a major role? If you've only watched the movie and haven't seen our videos about Big Jim's backstory, this question might sound odd, but the truth is that the Purple Cat also started out as an unimportant comic relief character in the books until he got more and more depth. For example, we later learned that he's an orphan and grew up in a shelter alongside Petey when they were kids. These days, he's so important that the latest Dogman book, Big Jim Begins, is all about him and his childhood. And as if that weren't enough, the next book will be a direct sequel, once again making him the protagonist. You know what that means. The next movie in the franchise might give our beloved Big Jim a bigger role, not necessarily by adapting his solo adventure, but by giving him a lot more fun scenes. This is even more likely if Crud ends up in cat jail. After Petey turned good in the books, his dad was arrested and became Big Jim's new cellmate. Even though Crud absolutely hates Big Jim for being so cheerful and naive, the two occasionally team up. And if you want to be part of our team, just hit that subscribe button. As a bonus, you'll never miss any of our videos about your favorite animated movies. One of the saddest scenes in the movie is when Dogman goes back to his old home, the place where Knight used to live with his girlfriend before an explosion turned him and Greg into the most fearless police pup of all. The main reason this moment made so many people cry is that Knight's girlfriend at the time, Alice, left after seeing what he looked like after the surgery performed by Nurse Lady. This was never mentioned in the books. It's something the movie completely made up to make the story even more tragic. So, will Alice return in Dogman 2, or will Knight's past be left behind so the film can focus on other character stories? If you think Alice showing up outside of flashbacks is unlikely because she moved away, keep in mind that it was never actually stated that she left town, just that she moved out of her old house. In fact, she even makes a brief appearance later, working at a hair salon that the mayor goes to. So, do you want to keep having fun? If so, click on one of the 2 videos we've left on your screen. We guarantee both of them are amazing. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!